Thank you very much for turning up at 10:30 in the morning. I rejoice in you sleeping in your tents, because I actually cleared off and was staying in a monastery up the road in a very nice kuti, very nice little hut. But there's a lot of joy in my heart. This talk, the forest. I trained in the forest tradition, Thai forest tradition, and these talks are not planned. Although I go through my mind what I might like to share, they're not planned. They're a co-exploration. It's what's happening right now. So in order for this to happen, this is not just listening. Yeah, I'm not trying to teach you something. I'm actually asking you to join me. Right, so I know it's early in the morning and maybe the brain is not quite there, but I'm just asking you to bring your attention into the present moment and really just feel what it's like, whether you like what I say, whether you don't like what I say, whether I might not say something for a little while and it might go quiet, what that does to you. So really, this whole sense of noticing how things affect you. This is really exploring the Buddha's teaching. So there's also what I would call a natural sense of reflection. Right, this is everybody. I doubt that there's not one person in the room that doesn't have this ability, right? And the way that happens is just by being with the body, with the way that you are, not trying to be something else. And if you're a long-term meditator and you've decided to go into your meditation pose, I'd really ask you not to do that. Right, but actually just make yourself comfortable. Part of the teachings is first to be relaxed and just to know where know physically where you are with the people in the room, but also just know where your emotions are. You might be really fed up with the weather or whatever it is, or you're feeling a lot of joy, you had a good breakfast or whatever it is, doesn't really matter. But just to start off from that place, not to start off from some fairy idea of what Buddhism is or what you think a meditator is. So you can just start to explore it with me, and then that also helps me, So it's also really nice that we started off with tea, because that's generosity, isn't it? That's just kindness, that we can actually be kind to one another. So as we bring presence to ourselves, we give ourselves what we really need. We actually help everybody else in the room. That we're not trying to be some ideal person, some ideal Buddhist, or, whatever your flavour is, doesn't really matter. I don't really care what type of Buddhist you are if you're not a Buddhist. I work both in a Buddhist environment, but I also work secularly. I train teachers how to run dialogue with young people and also run dialogue with young people in further education colleges. So it doesn't matter. What more matters is curiosity. Co-exploration. Are you willing to be curious right now? Not just curious about why am I dressed like this. Actually, the first year that I came here, I came as a guest. Loka Bandhu was very kind to offer me a place, and when I was walking around, people would come up to me and say, "Are you dressed in fancy dress?" But still, it's that idea of curiosity. It's this idea of just exploration. What does it feel like? What's happening right now? So I'm getting of a certain age. Blokes that get of a certain age, they start getting into poetry. And they go a bit soft in the head and they have to go to the toilet a lot. So I have gone to the toilet, but I do have some poetry. So I'm not sure when it's going to come out, but there's a few poems I'd like to share. And I've been going through a midlife crisis. It's gone on a bit long, but anyway, I'm hopefully coming towards the end of it. And I don't know if you know this poet called David Whyte. He's an extraordinary poet, and he had a whole set of CDs about midlife crisis, and actually really helped me. And I'd like to start off by reading one of his poems, because I want... Meditation for me is not about technique, it's about attitude. Right? I don't care what you practice. I practice lots of different things, whether it's Mahayana, Tibetan, Triratna, Zen, Chan, SG, it doesn't really matter. But what your attitude is very important. This sense of staying with the present moment. And I think I like this, the way that he's pointing in this poem is an attitude I like. Ajahn Sumedho, who's been my primary teacher whilst I was a monk, his attitude was like this. right? That's all. Just open up, welcome everything. It's all okay, you know. Just accept totally the way that you are. You know, actually, it's really interesting. I mean, I do a lot of interfaith work. Just think like Jesus on the cross, right? You can either see him like this, or you can actually see him like this. Which one, which one do you choose? Do you choose the one? St. Francis, the Christian tradition, they've got a fantastic Jesus, you know, like this, where he's got lots of people underneath his robes. I just think, wow, isn't that really lovely? You know, so it doesn't even matter to me about what tradition you come from, right? So I'm going to read this poem. David White does it much better, so you can Google him afterwards and look him up. He says it better, but I'll do my best. So it says, in this high place, it's as simple as this. Leave everything you know behind. Leave everything you know behind. Step towards the cold surface. Say the old prayer of rough love. Say the old prayer of rough love. And open both arms. Those who come with empty hands, those who come with empty hands will stare in the lake astonished. There, in the cold light, reflecting pure snow, the true shape of your own face, the true shape of your own face. And I'm asking you just to do that now. Drop who you are, drop who you think you are. Right, not throw it away, but just let it be as it is right now, but not believe in that conditioning. What would it be like to just open up to that, to the sense of, actually, it's all right. It's actually, all is well. It's perfect. And then my ego goes, of course it's not. It's a bloody mess. Have you stepped outside? Have you read the newspapers, you know? Barclays is not doing too well.
It's karma.
It's karma. It's karma. So my practice has been about not only just this is really lovely, you know, it's true in a lot of ways, in all ways, in fact, it's all right. It is all right. But the other side is that we have to relate, we work on this level. So I call this the vertical, you know, the access to the divine, God. I'm even happy to use that word. I brought up Jewish, so kind of I have to include that now because I had so many years as being Jewish. Actually, I run Jewish Buddhist retreats now, but maybe I'll speak about that later on. But the sense of opening up to the divine, you know, the goodness, truth, wisdom, find your own word, nothing. And then working on the vertical, on the horizontal, sorry, on this level, the way that we have to connect, the way that we have to be with one another, and our personalities. So I now do much more work actually on the horizontal, on how can I liberate myself from some of these deep conditionings. Not I don't mean, you know, I think it's what's one of these psychologists, my memory's a bit slow nowadays, but anyway, child psychology, and he says everything is good enough. Winnicott, he says, you know, good enough parenting, but actually you just want to be good enough, yeah? So don't want to heal every flipping little nook and cranny, but just what are the recurring patterns? Because I think that if you're suffering in your meditation and you keep going around the same habit, yeah, then why do that? Right, it's great that, you know, if you develop a sense of awareness and you make your mind strong enough, you can move your mind away from the object, yeah? You can witness the object, yeah, you can be mindful of it, yeah? But sometimes these habits, they keep looping around, keep looping around. So awareness gives you choice. It says, how do you want to relate to your suffering? So why not change it? In Theravadan Buddhism, we talk about deconstruct. We deconstruct everything down to nothing. Yeah, actually Jews do the opposite. They lift everything up, you know. They praise it and worship it. I like both, actually. That's why I do the Jewish bit. They get into the singing. Anyway, so generally Buddhists deconstruct everything to emptiness, yeah, but it also gives you the choice to reconstruct, So you can put everything back together again. Yeah, so why not choose to find a way to heal some of those patterns? Because when the vertical cut, when it comes down, which it will do, if you just open up and let go, yeah, it will come in. There's no doubt about it. It just comes in, it's just flow. Yeah, but then it comes through you. Yeah, so you can have the best intentions in the world. You know, you want to heal the world, you want to be peaceful. Then you come through, you come into contact with somebody that really upsets you, and the next minute you're rah 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 rah. You're a piece of blah 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 blah. So in Buddhism, I'm an anger type. So that means I see the world through anger, right? So if you upset me, I roar, right? But the other side of that is that you can turn it into loving kindness. You can turn it into metta. So I have to be very careful. I've got a very, you can probably guess, I've got a very quick mouth as well. But the thing is how do you engage with this? Yeah, how do you engage with your suffering? You know, and at what level do you need to engage with it? Because otherwise you can just do the spiritual bypass. You know, you sit there, looks fantastic, but actually doing nothing. You know, it just becomes another practice. I've enjoyed doing a lot of that myself. This is the most conscious I've ever been in my life. It's taken 30 years, at least 30 years, yeah, about 30 years of I don't know what to get me to this place, because actually I didn't even choose to come here. Now I've got choice, because I can see that I've got choice, but something was driving me for 30 years to get to this point. So now I feel like, oh my God, I'm running out of time because I've got so much to do. Do you know what I mean? I got all these choices to make, and I don't even know how to make choices. I've not learned how to do it because I've been running on some sort of unconscious pattern that wants me to heal. And I think we all do that, partly. But how deep we listen into that, you know, how much are we really willing to let go? You know, as the title of the talk says, the key is in the door. It's always been in the door. It was never not there. Somebody told me last night, who's a magician, Harry Houdini, don't know if you know Harry Houdini, he was an old magician. He learned how to unpick locks with his feet. That's how he did it. So he put his feet through the prison cell, and then he'd unlock from the other way round. You know, he'd unlock the door by putting the picking lock things in his feet. That's one way of doing it. That's a struggle. That's the difficult way. The other way is just to go to the door, put the key in, and then just open it up. Sorry, it's not even locked. It's true. Exactly, it's not even locked. See, people who know me, they know that they can heckle me. Yeah. So it's this working between these two. What I've seen is working between these two ways of everything is okay, yeah, and then finding the tools and trying and how to hit the conditioning at the right level. How to hit it at the right level, where, you know, because like I'm very much into shadow work. I'm a shadow hunter. I eat shadows. That's what I do. So just briefly, shadow is all the shit that you decided you didn't want to look at it. Yeah, you just put it in a big bag behind you, and then at a certain time it just grabs you and poos on your head, really. That's so either you decide that you're going to turn around and start having a look at it, or it destroys you. All right, that's generally what it does, because there's too much in there. There's too much power in there. So rather than going for dividing and, you know, this is good or that's bad, that's a waste of energy. Why not use that energy? Why not take the energy out of that and look at the stuff in the bag? So the way that I've learned how to work with my energy, my anger has got loads and loads of energy in it, right? As soon as you get angry, you're full of it, right? You're just charged up. So actually this is partly like a Vajrayana practice, as I've sort of read it. I've not practiced with a Vajrayana teacher, but I sort of understood it, is that basically you just suck the energy out, the anger, right? It's just raw energy, and you shove it in your system and do something else with it, right? So you take it out, and maybe you do some social work or something like that. So that's what I've done. When I get angry, I try not to project it out onto somebody else and saying, you know, blah 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 blah. I actually suck it out, suck that energy out, whack it in my system, fill my system up with energy, and then see where I might go with that. So this is this quality of how to listen in, you know, how to listen to the body, how to listen to the heart, you know, how to listen to the guts, you know. And then when that doesn't happen, how to not do anything. We had a very, me and Mark yesterday, we were running a workshop, you know, and there was this whole sense. Oh, Mark's fallen down, thank you. That's the only problem with these robes. I used to be the sound engineer at Amaranatho where I lived, and this happened all the time. So that's my karma. And then I got this really lovely, I was very pleased with myself, I got this really lovely microphone that works with the BBC, it comes around like that, and it's, you can hardly see it, but the monks didn't like it, so. Can't get it right. And I'd have all this tension about whether I'd get the levels right or something like that of the microphone, isn't it? That's all personality. I want to do some of that. Anyway, you'll have to listen to me for a bit. So anyway, I can't remember where I was. Using anger, thank you. Yeah. So how to channel the anger, and then so free yourself from that, and finding skillful ways, you know, skillful ways forward with what you want to do. So I travel a lot around the world, and last year I go to Asia. I go to Malaysia a lot because I can work with young people. This is my passion. I love working with young people because I'm young at heart, really. And I recommend not becoming an adult. Adult is a very dangerous thing to do. Responsible, yes, yeah, but the adult position is very dangerous because it's usually very fixed. Children tend not to do that. They just tend to be who they are and wander around and gain poo in the middle of the floor. I think if I did that, you'd all be a bit upset. But what's the difference, you know? I was at the airport once and there was a kid on the floor and he was lying down watching the planes like this. I was thinking, oh God, would I like to do that? No. But I do like working with kids for that reason, because you can play with them. So I decided that as I was going to Asia, I should do what all good tourists do and go to Bali. So what did I do? You're in a very privileged position as a monk, to be honest. You have to be very careful with it, because it comes with a lot of, not prestige, but it comes with a lot of, can't think of the right word, but something. And so what I did was I Googled on the internet and I looked for a retreat centre in Bali where I could go and have a retreat. And I looked through and there was this absolutely amazing retreat centre. It looked so fantastic. It was marble and huge and everything, views to die for. And I sent them an email and I said, I'm just a poor little Theravada monk from England. Would it be possible for me to come and stay? And they said, yeah, sure, it'd be really lovely. I will pick you up at the airport. We'll support you for a month. I think, flipping heck, this is a good deal. So I arranged it all, and I got to Bali. I arrived, and Bali airport is just like it's crazy, right? I mean, there's just people flying in from all over the world, and I had this feeling, I'm not sure I've done the right thing. Anyway, so the guy picks me up. I have a day in this touristy area. Drives me 2 hours up to a volcano in the middle of Bali. We drive down into the volcano. We come to this absolutely amazing retreat centre. It's marble from top to floor. There's nobody coming for a month. He gives me a fantastic room, shows me all around the different areas. You go out the back. There's the lake in the bottom of the volcano. And it's $1 million view, and I just think, this is it. I found the retreat centre. This is the retreat that I've been looking for all my life, sort of thing. So I settle in, and he says, I did tell you about the trucks, didn't I? So no, you didn't. He said, oh, well, there at the bottom of the volcano, there's this, they pick up the volcanic ash and they drive it up the hill and they take it into somewhere into Bali, then Passer or something. He says, oh, yeah. I said, oh, that'd be fine, no problem. I'm used to noise. I'll just observe the noise. So I'm sitting there, and so I sit down the next day observing the noise. It's a bit strange, and they're very small trucks with very noisy. They use the exhaust pipe as a brake sort of thing. So you hear this. So there's one going up, and then there's a gap, and there's another one, and there's another one. Oh, that's all right. I think it's sure to finish about 10. 10. No, I think, oh well, I'll go to sleep. Go to sleep. Wake up the next morning. Boom, boom. And then I start smelling the air full of diesel. Oh my God. So I think, I know what I'll do. I'll sleep during the day and I'll meditate during the evening. They're sure not to do that. Right? So I wake up 2 o'clock in the morning. I think I'll do 2 till 8 or something like that. So I wake up 2 o'clock in the morning. Boom, 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 boom. These trucks were going day and night, day and night, day and night. So I thought, what am I going to do? So it's 2 days in. It's 2 days in, and the body and the mind is saying, don't do this. The body says, stuff this. The monastic mind says, but they've offered everything. They want to look after you. You can't say no. So I think, what am I going to do? So I sit another day with this paradox. Yeah, this mind's in conflict, you know. That's a dangerous position when the mind is like split. What do? You know, it wants to do, the one side of me wants to do the right thing, and the other side totally wants to look after myself. So I just sit there and wait, and I wait and I wait and I wait, and then I hear this no, and the no comes way deep. No, when I feel it, no's come up like this, and there's no. It's like the Manjusri sword. Actually, it's just no, right? And this is quite a new experience for me, and I'm sure for a lot of us, doing no, yes is actually very easy, but no's are also a form of yes, right? You can either do a yes as a no, or you can do a no as a yes. But this no was, no, I'm going to look after myself. I choose to take responsibility for myself and look after myself. So I went to the guy and I said no. I said, I'm sorry, I need to look after myself. I don't want to stay here. So he said, fine, I'll take you up the road. I think there's another place up there. So he took me to this other place, which was actually really lovely. They welcomed me in, was staying there for a little while. And unfortunately, that didn't work out. And then they said, we put you on a bus. You can go and stay at this temple at the top of Bali, this Buddhist place. So I don't do Buddhist place that much anymore. Try to avoid them. But anyway. Yeah, sorry, Hartridge. Yeah, okay, Mark. So anyway, I went to this place and they gave me this really naff room in the front of the monastery, sort of covered in blood, and also, I thought I was going to get hepatitis off the light switch. But anyway, at the back of the monastery they had a lovely retreat centre, and I ended up doing my 3-week retreat there. And actually, it was a very lovely time, you know. And actually, it was totally the right place for me. So sometimes, you know, life, you don't know what life gives you. And what I'm finding at the moment in my own practice is, and I don't know if you feel this yourself, the life and the unfolding process seems to be speeding up, right? The sense of pressure of these last few years of deconstruction of institutions, of relationships, of ourselves, of just falling apart, seems to me just very fast. And so what I've noticed in my own sort of unfolding, that's the way only way I can sort of describe it is, you know, life unfolds. And I try to plan for the future, but actually this is changing. I know as I become more conscious of over here, right, this changes faster than what I want to do. So I plan to do something. So actually I'm leaving for Malaysia on Sunday. I'm going back to Asia for about 6 months. And I planned a whole load of things earlier on the year, but this place has already changed. and it's not sure whether that's what it wants to do, right? But I don't know until I go out there what will actually happen. So there's a whole load of trust, of trusting in this, just actually it will be all right, it will unfold. And maybe it won't, and maybe I need to see how I will respond to that situation. Because that's what the awareness does. It gives you even choice in those situations. I can choose to see. And it's also long term. Like last year, I also went to Sabah. I can name drop any country. I could probably tell you a story, so you'll have to excuse me with my travelling stories. But last year I went to Kuching as well, which is in Sabah. And in Sabah they don't have many psychotherapists, but they have a lot of shamans, right? The village shamans. And I thought, and the guy that was taking me around, he said, I've got a local one and I like to go and see him. And I sort of scoffed and laughed, and I said, well, you know what, maybe I ought to go and see one just for a laugh, you know, because actually I know more than he does anyway. You know, he's probably just doing his own thing. So anyway, went to see the guy, knocked on the door. He says, no, you've got to come back in the evening, go there about 9 o'clock at night, and there's a whole load of people hanging around. And he's a really young chap. He's probably 23 or something like that. Got a big shrine, and he's sitting there, and he's got cups like this filled with beer, right? And he's drinking it like this and then spitting on the floor. And I'm sure there was a bit of wacky-backy in the air as well. I was thinking, the guy's not very pure, is he? I wouldn't do that, you know. He probably doesn't know what he's talking about. So he says, what do you want to come for? And the conceit of my mind said, well, no, you tell me. You know. And then so I wouldn't give him much. But then he pulsed me, right? You know, the Chinese pulse system, and put his hands like this. So I said, oh, well, that's it. That's what he does. He just pulses. He's an acupuncturist in funny dress, right? He's just checking out what my system is, and he's going to tell me. So I thought, oh, well. And then he did the whole rolling in the eyes. You know, when they channel somebody, usually the eyes roll in the head and they go up with the fairies. And so I was in this quite conceited position. And then anyway, he said to the guy, go and get me a statue called Qigong. I don't think that, I've got to find out the real name of it. But anyway, he wanted me to get a deity. He says, you must look after this deity. You must take it back to England, put it on your shrine and stick a piece of incense in it and look after it. Oh yeah, okay. So me again, in this sort of, you know, nose in the air job, said, yeah, okay, go and get that. He says, I would like you to come back tomorrow and see me. So I didn't say anything. And actually, we got in the car afterwards, and I said, I don't want to go back to see him. I got enough. But I'll take the statue back to England. It'll be nice for my mum. So, excuse me. So, everything is welcome. Yeah, and that. And so I take it back, and of course I'm homeless, so I've got nowhere to do. So actually I give it to my mum. Now my mum's a very Jewish mother, right? But she's not come round to Buddhism. She's actually seen the way it's changed me. And maybe if I've got time, I'll say something about that in a minute. But so anyway, I give her this qigong, right? And it's a very relaxed posture of a sort of a monk meditating. He's got a little bag in his hand and a fan here, and he's sort of not cross-legged. He's very relaxed, like the Kuan Yin thing. So I give it to my mum and say, just look after it. And I've thought nothing of it for a whole year, other than it's a very nice statue. And because I'm a freelance monk now, that means I have to look after myself, but financially and everything. So this has been a huge worry, actually, for me, because I've lived institutionally for so long, although I'm not an institutional person, but I've had to make it work. And I'm back at my mum's, just because I'm going to Asia now. I wanted to be with her for a few days. So she's done a nice room in the house. And she's done up this room. And I go to bed there the first night, sleep. I have a really good night's sleep, which is unusual, but I did. And I wake up in the morning and I look out the bed, and there's a shelf up there, and she's put this Qigong statue on the top there, and I look at it. And part of this whole worry about what I should do is I decided I ought to have a website, right? And I ought to, you know, generate something because my ego needs that. And I was working with this advertising guy. I gave a talk somewhere, and he says, "I like what you do. Maybe I can help you. We'll try and work out something. What should we do? Come up with a name for this website." So we went backwards and forwards, and I came up with the name of the website is playfulmonk.net. My brother thinks it's a porn site. Anyway, so we come up with this playful monk idea, which actually does embody what I think, both the whole sense of form and emptiness. Yeah, actually, you know, an emptiness and form, being playful, having this sense of curiosity and investigation, childlike attention. So I wake up in the morning and it just goes, it all connects. It connects because the statue says playfulness. Yeah, there's the monk in the bed, there's the website, and this whole sense of attitude of what I'm trying to suggest, yeah, and as a way of embodying that, this sense of just exploring, being creative in your Dharma, in your truth, yeah. Whatever tradition, whatever way you need to do it, whether you're doing it through the mindfulness stuff or Triratna or Thai tradition or wherever it is. And what I notice is when I work with young people, because 80% of kids in colleges nowadays are secular, right? They don't even know what a humanist is, right? Not that don't even know what a humanist is. But when you are willing to provide a space for them which is safe and allows them to explore, actually they all have the same questions. They all have a spirit. From my language, I would say they have a spiritual question, and the spiritual question is, who am I? And if you're actually willing to stay with them, yeah, how can you stay with somebody? You can only stay with somebody really if you know how you feel, right? Are you frightened? Yeah. Can you actually just say that you're frightened? Can you say that you're angry? Last year I ran a retreat in Malaysia, young person's retreat. They screwed everything up in the beginning of the retreat. So it's supposed to start at 7:30. And of course, because I'm an angry person, I got angry, right? So what does one do? If it's all going to happen at 7:30, what do you do? I couldn't process it fast enough. So do you know what I did? I just went in. This is very not professional for facilitators to do, but I went in there and I said, I am really angry. Now let's start the retreat. Right? That's not saying, will you please come and help me? That's not saying I need something from you. That just says this is the way I am, and just be with the way that you are. You don't need to fix me. I don't need to fix you. Right? So we did that. We did my first warm-up game, which I always love. I feel fantastic. They feel fantastic. No problem. But I can guarantee that if I went in there and I hid my anger, for sure the rest of that week would have been an absolute mess. An absolute mess. Right? This is emotional intelligence. This is actually really trusting, you know, the way that you are. I'm going to check what the time is. I don't know how long I've got. Great. That's very efficient. So how to really to transform this, and this was my this whole. I've lived in a monastery. I lived at Amaranatho for 10 years as a monk, and actually I decided that I'm a samanera, which means a novice monk. So I chose to stay a novice monk, partly because I don't believe in power over, really. I believe power with, that we should. There's a natural sense of hierarchy everywhere. That the world has hierarchy, no doubt about it. Flowers, animals, all that sort of stuff. There is hierarchy, and that's to be respected. In Ken Wilber's approach, it's Hollands, you know, circles within circles. That's fine. I have no problem with that. But I do have a problem with people doing power over business with me, and hiding behind. And so I got really tired with that. And so it's the same sense as how does one honour one's journey, one's energy. And so the same thing, I sat for a few years. I sat for a few years thinking, this is not working in this form, how do I do it? And I transformed a lot of my energy into running family camps and creative retreats and young people retreats in the monastery. But what I really noticed is a lot of monks got jealous with me because I was too alive. There was a very beautiful thing said yesterday also in our session. I don't know if the person's here, but in our session yesterday when we were talking about feelings, this woman said, I have an abundance of feelings. When I feel into my body, I feel abundance, right? But we have that abundance all the time. Whether you have abundance of anger or whatever it is, you can feel abundant. You know, if you go the next level up, what do you feel? You feel a lot of tingling sensations. You can have an abundance of that, right? But how do we relate to abundance? You see, most Buddhists, they get into the whole suffering thing, you know, Four Noble Truths. There is suffering, there's a way out of suffering. But what about how to deal with everything is okay and I feel abundant? Do we have to go back to, I think I ought to suffer a bit more? It's an easy thing to do, actually. Pain is a lot easier to deal with than abundance. We could actually choose abundance. But the difficulty with abundance is, what I notice is that if you feel abundant, you have to share, which means that you have to connect with somebody, which means that you have to say hello, which means you have to feel what you need to feel. See, because if you shut down any emotion, it means you can't feel any of the others. There's a wonderful TED talk which I really recommend you watching by, I think her name is something Brown. Is it Renee? Brené Brown. Gratitude and vulnerability. This is a hugely, she says it better than me. I mean, I'm just summarizing it, but basically, if you shut down one emotion, it means that you can't feel another. So if you shut down on saying feeling anger, it also means that you can't feel joy. Right? If you shut down joy, it means you can't feel your anger. Right? Anger, you know, I don't know why I'm talking about anger for all of a sudden, but anyway, anger also needs to come out, right? You also need to express your anger. Our society here doesn't allow that. Right? I have a problem with violence. Violence is definitely off, right? Because that's hurting one another. But anger is totally okay. You want to be angry in front of me? That's okay. I'll stay with you until it finishes. Right? You punch me, I call the police. As a monk, you know, when we go, as a monk, I'm wearing it like this, but we actually cover both our shoulders. And I was in a tube, early on as a monk, I was in the tube station, and there was this big guy coming towards me, and we can put our hand underneath our robe and flick it up on our shoulder. And I saw this guy coming, and I flicked my robe up because I thought he might be coming up. And he came up and he sort of squared up with me, and then he did this, and I did that. He said, "Please, sir, can you tell me where I can get the lotus sutta?" And that was just like a whack in the guts for me. Like, I never done that again in London, right? I choose to see space. In London, that's my practice. Right? If you look now in this room, you look down here on this level, this horizontal level, what do you see? You see objects. You see a lot of problems. Me and you. Right? But look up here. Do 180 degrees, it's all space. Yeah, if you look between people, you see space. Right? So do you want to do this? Or do you want to do that? Do you want to do confrontation? Or do you want to do open up? So as soon as I go into space mode, yeah, I become spacious, then my whole relationship to the world is completely different. And you can test it out. Test it out. London's a fantastic testing ground. That's how I use it, right? So I go in and I feel really naff and off, yeah? And then everybody is off with me. I'm guaranteed to get on the wrong train and can't find my way out the station. Do spaciousness, it goes to flow. I've been living in Oxford, and something happened. Oh, I've been applying for a religious visa for Australia. It's a real pain in the backside. You've got to do lots of work. And I got very stressed over it. I got very angry. And anyway, I had to go into town. I went into town, And I was walking around the market there, feeling very angry, really upset with myself. And one of these evangelical Christians that hand out the leaflets came up to me, and he just pushed it in my hand like that. And I just picked it up, and I didn't even look at him or talk to him. I just walked away, and I threw it in the bin, right? And he was right. He stayed behind me as I went to the bin. He picked out the bin, and he said, "Jesus loves you," right? Do you know what? And as he said, "Jesus loves you," my anger just went woof. It just finished. And I went totally peaceful. And I turned around in my heart to him, and I said, "Thank you." I said, "Thank you." It doesn't matter, you know, it's just if one actually trusts in one's experience, actually really feel one's emotions, really know what they're like, yeah? Not be perfect. You know, I can tell you, I've never had so much stress, so much anxiety in my life these last 6 months. I wrecked my body through stress, because when you're really stressed, I mean, they'll tell you this on the mindfulness course, stress, right, messes up your digestion, right, because you can't actually physically absorb stuff. And because I got really stressed and I got mold poisoning from black mold poisoning where I live, actually I couldn't digest food, right? But what's been really interesting in the process of really exploring that is I really know what stress is all about now, right? I know now how to look after my body. I've now learned how to nourish myself, the right type of food, yeah? And all behind that is always awareness. It doesn't go. It couldn't give a monkeys. It couldn't care less whether you're alive, dead, or whatever. It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And as one keeps trusting in this spaciousness, my Ajahn Sumedho uses this teaching called the sound of silence, called Brahmanada in Hindu, Shabd in Sikh. It's a sound. So even when I'm speaking right now, I can hear it. It's a cosmic sound, right? It's a sound that goes behind all other sounds. And as soon as I hear this sound, yeah, I know that I'm relaxed, I'm open, and I'm receptive, right? And I totally trust what's coming out. And when I screw up, I just apologize. Yeah, I just apologize. I want to read a poem. So I need to explain a few words in this poem, right? Because there's a few technical terms from the monastery. So a person that lives in a monastery, a Theravada monastery that wears white, is called an anagaric or an anagarika. That's a male and female. And a monk is called a bhikkhu. A fully ordained nun is called a bhikkhuni. And in the Theravada Thai forest tradition, a nun is called a siladhara. Siladhara means 10 precept. So when I get really angry and I don't know what to do, the other one that it gets transformed into rap. and when these come down just like this and out. They just come straight through. So many years ago, I did a retreat, and I was staying in a hut, and it was a fantastic hut. It had electricity, but somebody on the road cut the electricity cord. And again, I went through this whole process, and I wrote a poem. I wrote this rap for it, and the title of the rap was called "Homage to the Letter F." So I wrote this in 2 versions. So I wrote this first version in the hut, and then I wrote this second version with my absolute, actually in that point it was nearly rage about what went on in the monastery. And so this is this rap. Homage to the letter F. There is no F in enlightenment. There is no F in refuge. There is no F in anger. There is no F in peace. There is no F in community. There is no F in lay people. There is no F in anagarika. There is no F in anagarikas. There is no F in bhikkhus. There's no F in bhikkhunis. There's no F in siladharas. There is a big F in the 5 points, but no F in love. No F in compassion, no F in discussion, no F in views, no F in opinions, no F in duties, no F in humour, and no F in samanera. No F in mother, and yet there's an F in father. There's no F in king and no F in queen, and yet there's an F in food. There's no F in greed or hatred. There's no F in lust. Well. There are 2 F in coffee and 1 in decaf. There's no F in cheese and there's a big F in freedom. A small 1 in faith, but no F in awareness. Another 1 in the 4 truths, and there's no F in pain and yet 2 in suffering. There's no F in fruit and no F in path. Oh, there is an F in fruit and there's no F in path. There's an F in Nibbana, but that F is silent. There's no F in Buddhism. There's no F in Amaranatho, and there's no F in you. Thank F for that. There's no F in thank you, and 1 left for forgiveness. So the bottom line is forgiveness. Forgiveness is a process. One has to forgive. You have to give something. That's a thing that we have to learn. We're not born to forgive. We're born innocent and pure. That's a given. But we have to learn to forgive. And that takes our energy. Because otherwise you're poisoning yourself. You're poisoning yourself with your emotions. So I just have, for that situation in the monastery, I just have a lot of forgiveness. I actually have a lot of compassion for the people there and a lot of love for them. That we can each do our own thing. Not you're right and I'm wrong. Actually, you're doing the right thing and I'm doing the right thing, and that's okay. And all it requires is this very simple act of attention and listening and curiosity. My strap line from my website, these 3 qualities, is explore, play, love. Explore, this sense of exploring ourselves, this playful nature, curiosity, and love. You can't do it without love. Unconditional love doesn't work because you come too brittle. For men, it takes a bit of practice. And then the bottom line is that your presence makes a difference. Everybody in this room, your presence, by you paying attention, makes a difference. And it not only makes a difference to you, but it makes a difference to the world. By you doing your healing, by you doing your bit, you each provide an example for everybody else. It's not about monk and nun and lay person and non-lay person, or mindfulness and not mindfulness, or anything like that. It's just, the encouragement is just do your work and do it at whatever level you feel that you can do it is. Don't be trying to be Superman or psychotherapist or whatever, all those things. Just do what you can do because it's happening anyway. Just join in with the process. Yeah, and if that means running away, it means running away, right? I call it conscious distraction. Just, it's okay. So be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself in this process. It takes time. It does take time, and it takes a lot of generosity. It takes a lot of generosity to yourself, because the conditioning process starts from birth. Even, some people might say past lives, but a lot of conditioning happens around birth, and this is also partly why I'm going to Malaysia, because I'm going to be running parenting courses. I think this is also hugely important. The way that we bring up our children is huge. And there's now enough neuroscience, just as there's enough neuroscience about meditation, now there's enough neuroscience about how we should look after babies and even young people. Why don't young people listen? Because they can't. Their hormones don't allow that. So why not just be kind to them and say they can't do that? I mean, it's not that they don't listen, it's just they don't absorb in the same way. I actually want to finish off with one more poem, if you don't mind. So I was invited to Jamie Creswell's got this Centre for Applied Buddhism, and he invited me to give a talk there. And on the same day that he gave a talk, Thich Nhat Hanh was in London, and I really would have liked to gone and seen him, but I had to give the talk. So again, I got upset. And he's written a poem called "Please Call Me by My True Name." Some of you may have read this. I found this a very inspiring poem. And so I wrote this poem. This poem again came through the ether in the same vein. It came through in the same vein. And my koan for the last year and still is what is a monk, right? I don't know what a monk is anymore for me. In fact, I don't even know what I'm really doing. I don't even really understand Buddhism anymore, to be honest, or anything. It's kind of strange. You think that you know everything, and then it completely destroys you. So this is a poem. This is a poem I wrote about, and I'm going to finish with this poem. And then, if you want to ask questions, it's fine. This is a poem I wrote about being a monk. So it's in the vein of "Please call me by my true name." Woo. Do not say that I'm a monk, because even today I'm not sure. Look deeply into yourself, and you will find me inside the cell of your cells, the space which we both occupy, the mirror of all mirrors. I became a monk because the universe told me to. I became a monk to find safety and found uncertainty. I became a monk to live ethically, and I found politics. I became a monk because I don't agree with social norms and found convention. I became a monk to escape from Jews and found Judaism. I became a monk because I didn't know I had an ego, and I found I had a big one. I became a monk because I had a broken heart, only to have it broken again. I became a monk because the food is good and it made me ill. I became a monk because it's free accommodation, and now I'm homeless. I became a monk because I'm frightened of sex, and I found intimacy. I'm a monk because I have a fragile ego, and that's okay. I'm a monk because I don't know. I'm a monk because I want to be seen. I'm a monk because of the unseen. I'm a monk because I won't take responsibility, and I'm willing to respond. I'm a monk because I want to learn about myself and found I didn't have one. I'm a monk because I found my shadow. To Asians, I'm a god, a teacher and a guide. And to Westerners, an evangelical, a person wrapped in a bedsheet, a Harry, another religious type, a time waster. I'm a monk, what do you see? A cosmic dustbin, a mother, a father, a brother, a sister, a friend, an enemy, a counsellor, a saint, a sinner, a mirror, a nobody, or a somebody. I'm a monk so that I can say I love you.